can't be reached. Hey, Peter. I'm just sharing this real quick and then we'll get into it. How's it going? We're going to talk about this piece of trash. G.T. Swain. It is such garbage. Like, I was like, oh, can't wait. This is only like 70 pages, I think, altogether. That's with like a bunch of pictures at the end. So like the actual text of it's only 58 pages long. And then you get to the end of it and it's just, you know, a lot of pictures from around here. But, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And who knows? It could get better, but I doubt it because the attitude that was used to write the first part of this is absolute dog shit. I try not to cuss in the first 5 minutes because I know they use that to like to deter people from joining the live stream, but yeah, there's no other way to describe this. It's just dog shit. See, this is what I was worried about because I know with a lot of, you know, historical records, it's, the things that become historical records are bullshit. So, yep. Yeah, I just titled it as Redneck Propaganda, but yeah, this is about the Battle of Blair Mountain. This is about the Mine Wars, and yeah, it's such garbage. So I'll start off with okay. So I'll start with the foreword, which is, in our opinion, the writings of George T. Swain have great historic significance to Southern West Virginia. The literary work should be in the personal library of every West Virginian and should appeal to all lovers of history. This particular title, which was forged from a larger work, The History of Logan County, was authored by Swain in 1927. At the time of the writing, he was a reporter for the county newspaper, the Logan County Banner. So, if that tells you anything, you know the state of our media today, right? It wasn't any better back then. So this is a, with a few exceptions, I'm sure, but yeah, the people that got these jobs weren't the hard-hitting journalists that we would like. Oh, hey Nick, how's it going? Me and Nick go way back. I've known him since what, middle school? Yeah. It's good to see you here. So, we know how that works, right? So it says here, Swain paints a vivid picture in his most unique style of West Virginia in bygone days. Resident of Logan County, West Virginia, and a student of H. Clay Ragland, a Confederate veteran. Okay, already right there, not a good sign. Attorney, historian, and the first publisher of the Logan County Banner, the area's first newspaper. A few years ago, after acquiring a rare original copy of Swain's work, we felt it necessary to make it accessible to readers and students of history. Now, they say this was written in 1927, so it's like, they kind of covered their ass with that one. But then why put this? Then why put it out in just published this, but also contextualized it. But at the same time, if there's not like a context for it, it's, it's going to be, I mean, they keep touting the historical facts of it, but I go to page 1 and it's not historical facts. So chapter 1 already starts off with the amazing growth of the coal business in rural Logan County in southern West Virginia is attested by the tonnage shipped over the first 22 years, through 1904 through 1926. From a small beginning of 500 tons shipped in the first year of coal production to a tonnage of more than 20 million tons mined and shipped within a short period of 22 years is a marvelous record established through the enterprise and progressiveness. That was progressiveness, okay, of the operators in the Guyan Valley. But that was the foreword, and let me see, where's the introduction? Okay, I got ahead of myself. So introduction is really where, okay. Shut up! No, you're not. Can you send me a link to your stuff? I know last time I talked to you, you were working on like comic books and stuff, so that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. So let's get to the introduction. And this is by, it's an excerpt from The Land of the Guyandotte by Robert Y. Spence. The mine wars, the mostly deadly outbursts in the coalfields between the two world wars, developed out of resentment of Logan County Sheriff Don Chafin, the Baldwin Felts mine guards, and the attitudes of the coal companies, the coal owners and managers. There was the resentment of difficult work for little pay. Yeah, rightfully so. There was resentment caused by the mine owners' refusal to negotiate with the miners' unions. Rightfully so. Most of all, there was the resentment of the attitude the mine owners had for the men who worked underground supporting the owner's way of living. I wouldn't say that that's most of their resentment. I would say most of their resentment was being paid in coal script and not having actual money, and being forced to live in these company towns that were policed, like slave patrols. Yeah, I think that was probably most of the resentment. The horrific conditions they had to work, where a donkey was prized more than a human being's life, right? I think that probably stirred up some resentment. That probably did. Or the fact that they couldn't say shit because everybody had to live in the company townhouses, which, so that way if you tried to fight for anything better, they would just kick your family out of their homes. So I think maybe that was where the resentment was, not because of their attitudes. I mean, how many people have you worked for that, look down on you? I mean, most of our jobs, I don't think we've had jobs that our bosses were like, pretty cool. It wasn't that. It was the conditions. I mean, mostly the coal companies was the darker side of the history of the mine owners. Was that the darker side? Was that the darker side as they built somewhere where they could have their own private little bridge parties? I think it was where mules were treated better than human beings, and where, again, they were, not paid in money. And if you said anything, you got blacklisted, and you couldn't work anywhere. You can send it to my Facebook. Yeah, Facebook would be good. Yeah, we're getting some West Virginia history tonight. Because I was like, well, I'll just start with this little book here. Work my way up. But, man, there's so much to unpack in this. And I'm going to do some research on this G.T. Swain motherfucker. Because he's full of shit. I mean, he was what? Trained by a Civil War Confederate veteran. Yeah, not a good look there. And that some of those names sound familiar, so I'm just like, yeah. That was the darker side of it. That was the darker side of it. The fact they had bridge parties. To the men who came to the county due to the hard work in the mines, it was an infuriating attitude. Yet again, it's not the attitude, it was the actual way that these people were treated. They had to pay for everything out of pocket. All their supplies, out of pocket. So, pickaxes, anything like that, they had to use their coal script at the company store to pay for it. That's that's what happened. It wasn't just because they were like assholes to them. No, it was because they directly fucked with their way of life and subjugated them and forced them into this type of work. So between 1900 and 1920, when dangerous and unfair working conditions were placed on their backs, and when the absence of civil liberty during the Chafin era was imposed upon them, the deadly hatred of the mine war was the result. And I guarantee you, I would bet money right now that they're not going to mention the bombs that were dropped on the miners. Guaranteed. Because that people want to pretend like that didn't happen. And even when I'm on YouTube and I'm talking about this stuff, because it wasn't just us. There was a black community that this happened to. And I want to say, was it Tulsa? But it was something like that. And where bombs were dropped on civilians. And when I was talking about making the comparison on YouTube, YouTube blocked my comment. So I tried to put them in separately, like bombs were dropped in Tulsa. That went through, surprisingly. But when I said that the bombs were dropped during the mine wars, wouldn't let me say it in any which way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's another way of censoring the history. The mine owners did not feel contempt for all miners. Oh, they were compassionate. They didn't feel contempt for them. That's why they didn't pay them in actual money and force them into these horrific conditions. That's not contempt. Treating somebody lesser than a mule, that's not contempt for those people, right? No. They didn't have contempt for all miners, right? Though they did for some of them, particularly those who wanted the Union to be organized in Logan County and the surrounding areas. So why would they have contempt for those people? Why would they have contempt for people that were unionizing? Is it because they wanted to be treated fairly? To be paid in actual money? To have safer working conditions? They didn't want... Yeah, so why did they have contempt for union workers? It's just fucking wild. So when contempt was expressed, as it was on at least one occasion, it enraged nearly everyone who worked in the mines. So they're just already framing it like it was just they slighted these people. They just offended them. This was all this because they were offended over some bridge party somewhere. Some bullshit. Hey, Schultzy, Josh. What else we got? Critical. So yeah, we're gonna go through this. Oh, coal script. Okay, coal script. So there's the coal mines owned. So they lived in houses that were owned by the coal companies. They were paid in money that was only good at the coal company's stores. And on top of that, they had to buy all their supplies to do their job out of the coal script that they were paid and use it at that company store. Now, there was, of course, what you see in certain other areas today, they would try to sell that, try to exchange it, I'll give you $100 of coal script, and you give me, $20 in actual money. So, sometimes they would do stuff like that, but if you got caught, you got blacklisted, and you couldn't work anywhere. If you got caught, you got thrown out of your home. Your wife, your children, you're out on the street. If you pissed these people off, you could not do that because they would take away everything, your house, your job, all of it, and ensure that you couldn't get another job anywhere in the area. So yeah, coal script was, and that's not a thing of the past either, because I'd say about 20 years ago, Walmart tried to pull this shit in Mexico. Walmart tried to pay their employees in Mexico with gift certificates that you could only use at a Walmart. And if people freaked the fuck out, rightfully so. So, they had to they had to backtrack that one. But they tried. And you'll see this too, because Amazon was talking about company towns, making Amazon company towns. So it's not anything that's... We have to remember this shit, because if not, it's going to keep coming up. They're going to wait and think that everybody's forgotten about this shit and then try to pull this again. Because every once in a while they'll try to sneak it in under the radar and make it seem like some kind of like progressive thing, and it's not. We have to remember this. And we have a bad habit here of not wanting to talk about stuff. The Buffalo Creek disaster, where a coal dam broke and annihilated 30 miles of towns, killed thousands of people. Yeah. One generation removed from that, nobody remembers it. Because nobody wants to talk about that shit. So it's important to remember all this stuff. Yeah. Oh, later, Nick. Yeah, Black Wall Street, that's what it was. I want to say it was in Tulsa, though. Yeah, Pinkertons and the police employed to beat and kill workers. Oh, yeah. Nothing new about the rich treating workers worse than animals. Yeah. You'll still see that to this day. You owned nothing and you liked it. Because you didn't have another option. The 18-ton song. Yep, that's exactly it, Michael. Yep. I think the Walton daughter is only making around $28,000 an hour currently. Oh, poor thing. Poor thing. One of these days, she'll get equal pay. Yeah. I'll say I do my best. Every once in a blue moon, we'll go to Walmart, but it's usually too far out of the way, and by the time I spend the gas money, it's not even worth it. But there's an Aldi's that a few years back that opened up right next door to the Walmart, and I was like, that's where it's at right there. Aldi's pay me. I do so much plugging for Aldi's. Like they should pay me, but I'm not. I'm not paid by Big Aldi. And they treat, I mean, not that it's like the best, but they do treat people a lot better there. They let their cashiers sit down. They make, I think it's like $15 an hour here, which is, pretty good considering, the price of housing and stuff, cost of living. But yeah, and they would have these watchtowers, not just, okay, so what they would do is, as immigrants were coming into Ellis Island, they would send people up there to recruit them to come work here. Tell them this big, huge tale of all the money they could make and all this stuff. But they would try to recruit people that spoke different languages. White town. They would do like all these different towns and split them up that way. So that way they could not unionize. It was harder for them to do that. It would, even just like overcoming the barrier of language was hard, right? So there's all these barriers. They were split up, language barriers, all this stuff. So they were, cultural differences to where they were trying to pit people against each other, and they couldn't like talk to each other. And then on top of that, they had these guard towers. Now, do you live in a town that has a guard tower? That's a prison. That's a prison. If you have watchtowers with armed guards and machine guns surrounding your town, and if you went out at a certain time of night, or if you tried to do anything, and they would mow down people or bring them in, you're not living. That's an open air prison. That's what people lived in. Yeah, they're guarding the town from birds. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it wasn't nefarious, nothing like that. They were just helping. So that he wants to, the first thing on page 1, they're touting like all the tonnage of coal. So it went from 500 tons in 1904 to 20,338,000 tons in 1926. So, and that is another thing that aggravates me, is because you have all these people that will look down on coal miners and judge Appalachians for that, when the reason why the rest of the country is where they're at right now is because of the lives and limbs and sacrifices that those coal miners made back then. I mean, that's what fueled a lot of the industry. So all of these things that everybody wants to take credit for, they wouldn't have had that shit if it wasn't for these people that they want to forget about, and that were treated like absolute shit. I mean, they probably saw shit as more useful than these coal miners. You know, that's, and people want to just like gloss over that. Just gloss over that. But that's why people have what they have. That's why people had electric and they could, you know, turn their lights on and read books and do shit like that. It's because of what we did here. Even to this day, like, you know, coal's part of, not that I'm a big fan of coal. I think there's better ways we can do it, but, you know, I know there's better ways we can do it. Way better. But, you know, that coal is part of steel production. You know, all these big townhouses and, you know, skyscrapers, coal. So it's not about the energy part too much anymore, thankfully. But yeah, it still goes to certain things. So let's see. Oh, let me get to the part. Payroll for Logan Field approximates in 1927 $5 million annually. With this enormous amount of money being expended in the field discloses to the world the industrial activity of the section of the nation. It has only been within the past few years that the nation has awakened to the prosperity of the Logan County coalfield. Who got that prosperity? Please tell me who got that prosperity, because it wasn't us. We didn't see that prosperity. Look at Logan County today. There's still, you know, coal mines there. Where's the prosperity? McDowell County, who has the lowest life expectancy in the nation. Please tell me, are they prospering? No. So when our kids get cancer, is that prospering? No. Oh, that's so weird. So who got the prosperity there? Oh, you know, people like Jim Justice? Yeah. So the prosperity of the Logan County coalfield in the past year has witnessed labor from all sections of the world seeking employment in this valley. No, they took advantage of people. That's what they did. Logan Field has been subject of much false propaganda from mine union officials and from other coal fields of the nation. That sentence. Repeat that. Logan Field has been the subject of much false propaganda. That's it. They're jealous. They hate us because they ain't us. That's really what they went with in 1927. This motherfucker right here went with, they hate us because they ain't us. That was his excuse for it. I can't. Accessories. The fuck? How can you publish this bullshit without putting a little asterisk there? You know, like, you know, this dude's full of... And you'll still see these same talking points today. It has not gone away. You know, well, they're just jealous because they don't make as much money. They should just get better jobs because they're just jealous. Forced to fight against a fluctuating market. But he has to fight for reduced freight rates and been forced to fight against rate discrimination in favor of other fields. The coal business in the Guyan Valley has been one of uncertainty. The life of the operator has been a strenuous one, and his bed has not been one of roses. But with grim determination and with the tenacity of a soul that will not be downed, they have been labored long and hard to make their undertaking successful, and the majority of them have succeeded. The treatment accorded the laboring man in this field by the operators has been uniformly courteous, and employers have been very generous to their employees. We're so ungrateful. You know, when we say things like, hey, you know what? I don't think that there should be like 8-year-olds in the coal mines. That's just us being ungrateful. When we say, hey, we should be paid in actual money, that's just us being ungrateful. You guys? I mean, it's not like they're taking more than their fair share. It's not like they had gigantic mansions or fancy parties or had to worry about, you know, the house that they lived in and had to take... Let me turn the sound off on this because you keep doing that. Okay. Or had to worry about, because here's what the people that lived in the coal towns, you know what they had to do? They had to take newspapers and plaster that on the walls to keep the drafts out. Because it gets pretty damn cold here. Did they live like that? Did they have to go down into a hole, a pit, be buried alive? You know, anything? Is that what they had to do? And when you know, these workers died down there, did their wives have to turn to prostitution in order to be able to keep a roof over their children's heads? No. Really? Because they're so generous. They're so generous. And this is not an attitude that has gone away at all. Because when that big flood happened in Kentucky and a bunch of people got killed, and they were saying that because of the stuff that the coal mines have done there, like the erosion of the mountaintop removal and certain things like that, the environmental conditions that they've created there killed a lot more people off than what normally would have happened. And they framed it as these people are ungrateful to their employers who provided jobs for them. That attitude has not gone away. That is still here to this day, and they just want to look down because they believe everything they say. You know, redneck is now for African American miners to be treated the same way as for a while. You know, because they were pitted against each other, right? But they started wising up, and what happened was it was a lot of the women that did this. A lot of the women washing and all that. So when women would go out to hang up the clothes outside on the line, they would talk to each other. You know, they're out there hanging up clothes. There's your neighbor hanging up clothes. They get to talking, and they start from their husbands. So they could put two and two together, and they started organizing. They were armed with pots and pans out there. You know, this is something you're going to see very often in these history books. This goes so fucking deep, man, and it's not anything that's disappeared. I wish it had. I wish this was just something that happened in the past. But we still see this to this very damn day. Oh, buffering, of course. It's probably where I'm getting a bunch of messages right now. Not on here, just fucking Facebook's blowing up. Yeah, richest country. Alright, are we back? Are we good now? Fuck. I hate this shit. But I'm gonna get that fixed soon. I might just go ahead and do it because I think I got enough right now to where I can maybe, I don't know, it depends on how much the fees are for starting it up. Damn. That's annoying. Yeah. But yeah, they continue to do this. We're not grateful enough. Misfortune knocks at the door of every man, and when it has fallen on the poor working man in the Logan field, he has ever found his employer ready and willing to extend a helping hand. Well, why didn't they help them from themselves? They could have helped them. That was what they were helping them from, was the conditions they put on them. You get what I'm saying? It's like they forced them into this thing that is absolutely horrific. And then they say, well, we're helping you. No, you're the one that is hurting the people. And today, because all this history has been erased and it's not taught in the schools, we're not taught about any of this stuff. We don't talk about it. Now you have these dumb motherfuckers that will pay extra money to put a Friends of Coal license plate on their truck. On their shitty 30-year-old broken down ass truck that barely even runs, they'll pay that extra money to put that Friends of Coal on there. And please, if this is interesting to you, watch the video that I made. It was one of the first videos I made, and it's called Propaganda Used on and Against Appalachians. And you see the way that they will break people. the way they erase history, the way that they try to act like the good guy. They sponsor all these like philanthropic things. They'll you know, fund Toys for Tots. So they'll go into schools. They used to actually teach classes in schools. They would take these kids, they would tell them, teach them all about coal, and take them into these, you know, certain places within the mines, show them how things operate, make it real cool. Oh, you get to operate a big rig, and they'll make it fun. And of course, you know, they look up to their parents, you know, they look up to their dad or whoever that works in the mines, and they brainwash these kids. They'll give them toys. They'll go into the classroom, hand out little stuffed animals, you know, take them on all this fun stuff, and they're grateful. When they grow up, they say, well, you know what, I wouldn't have had a Christmas if it wasn't for, you know, this coal company. They came in and they bought us all Christmas presents. Well, they're also the ones that keep other economic opportunities out of the state to where your parents didn't get to work a good job. That's why. It's hush money. It's hush money. Recited to this day. People like this dipshit gets recited to this day, and it's said as if it is fact. And it's not. That is not what we were about. We were about working together, working for better wages, keeping the children out of the mines, creating better working conditions, getting a fair pay, getting actual pay instead of getting paid in conscript. This is what we were, economic opportunities, because it's the same thing that you see with war. Kill people in other countries that did nothing to us. How do you get people to do that? Take away their opportunities, take away their benefits, take away their health care, all this, to where people, the only way you can get that is by going and doing this gruesome job. Because there's no other way that you can get these people to go down there for fake monopoly money, conscript, and have them do this job where they were mangled. I worked at the hospital, okay? I worked in the trauma ICU, surgical trauma ICU. We had a guy come in there, and we had several, because there was several mining accidents when, while I worked there. And there's this one, to this day, it wrenches me inside. It makes me physically ill. Because he was down there, this guy had a wife, kids, right? Totally normal life. Down there just doing his job, trying to provide for his family. And one of the mine carts, he was a living, he lost everything from the belly button down. And you could see that his nature just, gone. I mean, what do? I mean, you've lost the lower half of your body. You can't work. You can't, everything that he prided himself on, taking care of his family, playing with his kids, having sex with his wife, and all that gone. Just like that. Just like that. Gone. And he lived through it. And I would see him, he would come back every so often because of different infections and stuff, because it's just, his body was just so far gone. And all that. What? So they can get some coal out of the ground? Do we even need that? Do we need that for electricity? Do we need that for steel? We don't need that anymore. It was a completely pointless injury. Completely ruined not just this man's life, but the lives of his... Because Jim Justice wanted to make some more money. And I could name so many people. There was a guy that had worked like a 16-hour shift in the mines. He fell asleep on his... Now. He had to live through it. So now he just... That's all. That's his whole life now. Is just... He's a quadriplegic. And that... Not to mention the loss of arms, legs. Let's talk about the drug addictions, alcohol addictions, because of the people... You know, when you... It's called that complex... Well, it's complex PTSD and regular PTSD. So, you know, when you see somebody get their body cut in half, PTSD. But when you go down there and you face your death every single fucking day, and then every day that you come back out of there, knowing that you have to go back in there and face it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. You know, it happened to my grandpa. He said another half an inch and he would have died. He was crushed. This is what they break their bones and... horrible. And that's just the nature of the job. Let's say dessert first. So if they had like a little cake or something in there, they would eat that first because they didn't know if they would live long enough through their lunch in order to eat their dessert. So you'll see people even now, and they don't know why they do it, but they'll eat their dessert first and then they'll eat dinner. That's what they had to live with. But these people, these coal mine bosses, they're so generous. And we're just so ungrateful. Or how about all the poison that they put in the waters and soil and stuff like that? And I could name 5 kids right now that I went to elementary, middle, and high school with that died from cancer. That's not normal. And you know what? It just so happened that their parents worked in the coal mines and they lived right close to the coal mines, was drinking the water, bathing in that water, swimming in that water. How about all the cleft lips that were, physical, birth defects, miscarriages, cancers, all from this company. But they don't have to pay for it. We pay for it. They don't have to pay for it. They make money. They make bank. They get all kinds of, government benefits, kickbacks, tax write-offs. Who does that come out of? It's our families, our environments that are destroyed. And I talked about my cousin. Y'all know what happened to her. Born with a cleft lip, both parents in the coal mines, both dead from a drug overdose before she was 16. She's homeless at the age of like 15 or 16. And what chance did she have? What chance did these kids I went to school with? It's not like they knew about that. All they knew was the propaganda that was taught to them. So they don't even know why they died of cancer. And then you got people like Shelley Moore Capito, the other senator here that, Joe Manchin is so horrific that people forget about Shelley Moore Capito, but she's there doing a press junket at a kids' cancer center. I said, you know what? Why do you think those kids have cancer? A lot of them have cancer. You think it's maybe because of all the poison you pump into their fucking atmosphere? All the poison water you make them drink, the orange water? Why do you think people's teeth fall out? The people want, and that's another thing. That's the butt of the joke, right? They turn us into the butt of the joke. They turn redneck into a bad term. They turn redneck into something that means stupid and racist and bigoted and hateful. They turn, when I talk about the miscarriages and the birth defects, you know what they blamed it on? And I will post the fucking article right now. It was when these coal mines were questioned, hey, why is it that the people that live in a close proximity to your coal mines, why do they keep having miscarriages and birth deformities? And they said, have you considered consanguinity? Consanguinity is a $3 word for inbreeding. So every time you hear these little inbred jokes about the South, that's what it is. That's people doing the work of the coal mines and perpetuating that propaganda. That's what it is. They are perpetuating propaganda about us. There's states that have a lot of incest. That ain't us. And you will make jokes about Alabama, but guess what? All this shit, it doesn't stay in West Virginia. All this poison that people in the North flush down their waterways, it comes down here, and all the shit that we put in there, it goes all that flows south. So the further you get south, the more you're going to see this. Because it's not like all this poison from the coal mines gets to the border and says, oh, that's it, guys. We can't poison the people, down there. This is where we got it all washes down. And so you're going to see more and more. That's why there's cancer alleys. That's, but it's just because they're inbred, right? That's what it is. And I've had people say this to me whenever I left the state as a child. I went to, what was it, Six Flags or something? And I had people ask me, like, is it true that, with all serious, not like troll, is it true that y'all use outhouses? Do y'all have indoor plumbing? They were shocked to see that I wore shoes. They thought that we were all barefoot here. Is it true that y'all marry your cousins? Is that really, like, what y'all do there? Like, legitimately. Asking me stuff like that. Virginia. Oh, hey, Howard. Whew, buddy. Yeah, construction is, I saw that too, that where people, when I worked at the hospital, where people would get hit by cars while doing construction. Oh my God, this one guy, I didn't think, I mean, there wasn't anything in his body that wasn't broken. But he made a full recovery. I don't know how he did that. It was like medically, like, what the fuck? But he did, and his wife would send, gift baskets and stuff. Because I mean, after all that time, we got months and months in the ICU. Yeah, we got to know each other pretty well. But it's very dangerous, and that's why always if you're going through a construction site, slow the fuck down. Be careful. But yeah, that's some of the shit that they use, and that's why it's okay to do what they do to us, because they have perpetuated this false narrative, and even to us, they sell it to us, and you got people running around here, like I said, with Friends of Coal bumper stickers and license plates. They got the Friends of Coal bowl. It's sick. They even have us convinced of it. They have us convinced that they're the good guys. And then, yeah, these people out there fighting to keep coal jobs. I promise you, you don't want that. They think that if that goes away, that we're not going to have anything else here. Everybody's going to be forced to work at McDonald's or Walmart. But the fact is, those are the companies that keep the good-paying jobs out. Because if we had good-paying jobs, they wouldn't have coal miners. They have to do that. Oh, Stuart Edwards, welcome. I spent the first years of my life without running water, indoor plumbing. My siblings went all through high school without it, as did my niece. Yeah, and it's not that we don't have the means to have indoor plumbing. I've seen a lot of people have to do that. Just for the fact that, not that they didn't have, plumbing. They didn't have, toilets and stuff like that. It was just the fact that they couldn't afford to keep their utilities on. They couldn't afford, the water, the sewage. They couldn't afford electric. I see a lot of people, even to this day, still living like that. But that's not because they don't have access to it, or that they don't have that in their house. It's just that, it's not something that they can afford. When you're working at Walmart and places like that, it's like, fuck, dude. Yeah, and so that's what this book is. And somebody, I'm not going to say who, somebody might have made a little note in this book that this book is propaganda. So anybody else that tries to read this, thank God whoever did that put that in there. So the next person that checks this out and thinks that this is going to be some historically factual fucking piece of information will see that and think twice about all the things that they're reading in here. So these are all letters. There's some letters in here. What else we got? Chapter 3, Death of Peace flies away and war is renewed. So there's just a lot. And I guarantee, because of the way that... Oh, look at that. They mentioned my town in here. Armed bands were reported robbing stores in the canal fields. Armed miners visited stores in Huntington and purchased provisions of all sorts, which they transported right by the state capitol to their rendezvous in Marmet. That's us. That's us. They rendezvoused here. Isn't that cool? Our little podunk town. Reports from Racine, which is, if you go up on the interstate from here and drive maybe, I don't know, about 15 minutes up that way, you gotta go through Hernshaw, and then I think right after Hernshaw is Racine. Marmet were cut. It has the benefit of cutting the lines of communication. I would say that's probably the coal mines. Those people. You know what we did? You know what the miners did? They would stop trains from delivering coal. They would dismantle coal temples to where they couldn't, get the coal out. Things like that. They would sabotage things like that. But they, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, but they didn't do I don't know if they, I don't think that they cut the lines of communication. That could be wrong. That's one I'm not sure about, but I'm saying, like, that's a little fishy. I don't know. In spite of all this, the voice of the governor was silent as that of a tomb. West Virginia had to witness the sad spectacle of having in the gubernatorial chair a vacillating official who was evidently pursuing a policy of watchful waiting. Yeah, that dude is paralyzed. He didn't do shit. I mean, he was just like, kind of like, well, we'll see how it plays out. You know, like with Obama with Apple, it's like, we'll see how it plays out. Remembered you from a few years back on some shows, long time fan. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was a little out of practice for a while, so I've been getting back into it. Request your local library to purchase a book you like read. It sometimes works. Yeah, this is the one I got from I got this one from the library, and God damn. This is so bad. It's so bad. And I'm just like, I'm raging. But then again, it's written by a guy that was trained by a Confederate soldier in 1927 and part of the, media here, which, a lot of times what they do is they'll hire the people that report the news here aren't from here. The people that work in the chemical factories, they're not from here. They have to hire other people to come in and do this shit because it's a lot harder to get somebody to poison their own community and to do harm to their own community. So all the people that you see on the news, they have that no accent, some weird wherever it is in the Midwest, or, they're trained, they're from New York, or they'll be from, Minnesota or something like that. It's like because it's a lot harder to get people from around here to lie to each other, knowing what is being done for. It's wild. And if you see, like, if you watch your local news, if you live out in the coast or something like that, you'll see, like, when Trump was president, you'll see all this anti-Trump stuff. But then, like, here, it was like fluff pieces. Oh, look at Trump and Melania holding hands, or, it's like, why is this news? How is this news? Why do I give a shit? I don't give a shit. It's just, and I grew up watching this stuff. Tom McGee. Oh my God, Tom McGee was like my first crush. Oh my God, that man and his glorious mustache, he was just amazing. But turns out, he was also prolific alcoholic and got into several DUIs and stuff, and that's why he had to step down. He's now a DUI lawyer, and he represents DUI cases. So, yeah. But there's also a band that's named after him, the Tom McGee's. That's from around here, so. Yeah, and the Coal Museum. Coal Museum, don't even get me started on that. Can't make a museum for something that's still happening. That's why we can't put it behind us. That's why they want to, like, pretend like this shit's in the past. It's not. It's still continuing. We cannot, like, do that. You have to have something to point to. It's not a museum when it's current history. It's not history yet. Like, this is ongoing. This is why we have the problems we have. The CIA has a program. So, it's First Amendment. I heard the CIA has a museum with a display proudly showing their torture program. Oh, come on. But it depends on what area you live in. And then, it's like, the same company owns all these other local companies, but they decide to do the poisoning. Sometimes I'll get alerts on my phone. I posted it somewhere once before. It was, and this was not too long ago, maybe a month ago, a little over a month ago, maybe 2. Not quite 2. But, it said that there was a chemical spill at one of these, mines. Went into the water. It says, don't worry about it. It's totally safe, but also it's toxic to everything that lives in the water. How does that work? How does that work? Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's super deadly. Don't go near it. Don't swim in it. Don't touch it. But it's fine for your health. Like when it goes through your tap water and ends up in your you're taking showers in it and cooking with it. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Move along. Yeah, he was wild, man. Tom McGee was wild, but man, he was just like charismatic. He was very charismatic. It was him, and I actually got to meet them because I was so like obsessed with the news. I loved watching the news and court shows and stuff like that with my grandma. We would read the newspaper. We were all about like what current events, and they took me down there, and I got to meet what was it, Sandra, I forgot her last name, but she did news for a while. It was her and Tom McGee. They were the two main anchors, and man, I could probably still watch him to this day. I know he's probably a shitty person, but fuck. He was good at what he did. Oh, the EPA's on it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where's that at? What EPA? What EPA? All this time, because people talk about the EPA. Oh, they're gutting EPA, and I'm like, yeah. What were they doing before that? Because we've been having environmental problems, or like when the we had that chemical spill here, the MCHM. There was a second chemical that nobody knows about. It wasn't until I was getting deep into the research to it that I found out that there was a second chemical. They wouldn't even tell us what it was because they said it was proprietary and they couldn't tell us what it was, what kind of health effects there is, nothing. We couldn't know what we were poisoned with because it was like behind proprietary laws that, you know, did they do any long-term research to see how either chemical affected the environment or any long-term health consequences to us? No. And what's weird is there's been MCHM spills before and since then. A week after the initial, it was either a week or two, within 2 weeks of the initial MCHM spill that made the news, there was another MCHM spill. Nobody talked about that one. That one was not covered. So, and we've been poisoned with it since then. We didn't make, they did a lawsuit, settled a lawsuit where, everybody got paid like a few $100s. It wasn't more than $500. Why did they pay us money for that poisoning, but none of the other ones? So did it have to do with the MCHM, or was it that second chemical that nobody can talk about? Because if that's the case, then we should have been making money every single time we get poisoned with something. But we're not. Why was that one specific case so special? And that's the question that nobody's asking, and I'm getting no answers on. And it's just like, oh, that's a thing. It's like, are y'all not concerned about this? Because even when I talk about this, and I had this conversation because I would tell my family about it, and they would just tell me they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about it. It's just too much. They don't want to know about it. Like it's just too hard. Like, I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but at the same time, like, y'all don't think that's weird? That shit happens all the time. The MCHM happens all the time, but we only got paid that one time. And even then they said, they were asked, well, is it safe to use the drinking water? Is it safe to do this? And they were like, well, I guess so. Oh, and by the way, Governor Earl Ray Tomlin at the time, when I was doing a deep dive on some of the out on these steps, taking a picture with Earl Ray Tomlin, and he signed the picture, your friend, Governor Tomlin. So I'm sure he was fair. Sure, he did things right. He looked after his friends, though, didn't he? But we don't even get to know what we're poisoned with. It's some fucking bullshit. Yeah, it was a class action lawsuit. And the thing is people are so desperate for money. Let me, I'm going to spill some actual fucking tea on this one. When I worked at Little Caesars, my boss at the time, the store manager, the woman that owned the chain of Little Caesars around here, she owned she owns basically South Charleston. She has her own private jet. Okay, her employees were making $8.75 an hour. She has a private jet. All right, but she had that store manager. They would not close their store. All the other restaurants, everything else had to close down. They stayed open. She paid her money, and this is from her lips. Paid her money to lie on the stand and tell them that they used bottled water and to fudge the numbers on it. So that way that she could still make the money. Selling people poison. Selling them food that was made with poison. Oh, and also she fucked the lawyer. So that, I'm sure that helped with the court case too. That's why they couldn't fire her. Because she had too much dirt. And apparently she was supposed to sign an NDA, which she did, but they lost the file that had the NDA in it. Why she told me all this, I have no fucking clue, but she would tell me all kinds of stuff that I had no business knowing. Yeah. So she got paid off and fucked the lawyer. Between the two, I mean, that court case was a done deal. And none of these people had to pay for the additional poisoning that they inflicted on people. The people going in there thinking that, oh my gosh, you know, everything's shut down. I can't. But this is the one place. So all the other business, you know, all the other restaurants and stuff, they all went there. They all went to these stores to buy safe food that wasn't safe. And I think she was regional manager at the time, so it wasn't just my store, it was the stores in the region. So yeah, she it wasn't just a specific location, it was everywhere. I mean, but even if she wouldn't have fucked the lawyer, she still ended up getting paid off to lie and lie on the stand and to fake evidence and stuff like that and go along with it. I mean, it was just despicable. And what do you think? How much money do you think that she got paid off for that? You know, I guarantee you it wasn't enough. I mean, probably, what, a few $100s, maybe $1,000? Because Vicky Marshall, and that's the woman's name, Vicky Marshall. Vicky Marshall's the one that did this. Vicky Marshall's the one that's paying people off and paying, to poison people and paying employees $8.75 an hour while she's flying around in her private fucking jet. And also, she got fucked out of a bunch of money because she had a business partner who embezzled a bunch of, like, $1 million or so, I think it was over $1 million, from her because he had a cocaine problem. So I guess she had to make up all that money and did so by poisoning people with toxic pizzas. Mattress actress. Ah! Oh my god. Mattress actress. Oh my gosh. But that's just some of the fucked up shit, you know? Let's not talk about how they made people work off the clock or shit like that, paying people fucking starvation wages and shit. Yeah, that's a lot of cocaine. That's a lot. I mean, I'm sure cocaine isn't cheap, but damn, dude. How much? I mean, what are you doing? Are you? Yeah, that's not something that's not a poor person's kind of drug. Blow through enough money to sustain regular people. Yeah, I mean, $1 million just in cocaine. I mean, that's something like we could live off of that for a lifetime. But he just spent $1 million in cocaine? What the fuck? Dear God. But that's what I'm talking about. This is the fucking bullshit that the people with money and power do to the people here, and who paid the price for that? Not Vicky Marshall. She's still flying around in her private jet. She still owns most of South Charleston. She still owns her Little Caesars and her apartment building. She's still a landlord. She's making her money. But, you know, and this guy that I worked with at Little Caesars, making $8.75 an hour, he was strung out on heroin, and he would listen to Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro told him that, you know, rich people worked really hard for their money, and that's why they're rich. And he's sitting there busting his ass when he's not, you know, nodding off in the back from, you know, nearly overdosing. And he's just like, he's not working hard enough. That's the thing. I was like, well, then work harder, dude. Go out there and work harder. What are you doing? Go work harder then. Like, you're not working hard? We're not working hard? I mean, they worked us to where it was, you had to physically push yourself to the absolute limit. You had to move as fast as you could, work hard as you could. And that's the only way that you could stay within labor costs. And even then, they had people working off the clock because there was no fucking way you could do it. $8.75 an hour. He's just, yeah. But yeah, it's because the rich people, they work so goddamn hard. She's working so hard on that private jet of hers. Yeah. It's Hunter Biden amount. Was she in business with Hunter Biden? So were you working with Hunter Biden, bitch? Because that's some Hunter Biden level shit. That's a lot of cocaine. Imagine what his laptop's got on there. Woo, buddy. Probably got a bunch of, just probably some really weird shit. See, UPS refuses to put AC in their trucks. Yeah, who needs cold air when it's, 110 degrees outside? Y'all just need to toughen up. You know? Can't deal with these people. It's a Hunter Biden amount cocaine. That's all I can think of now. It's just, him and Hunter Biden just partying with a bunch of, like, I don't know, strippers that are dressed like Little Caesars employees or something. It's so wrong, but I can't. I gotta laugh. You gotta laugh at some of this shit. You gotta laugh at it. Yeah. He got broke with millions. And you know what? I'm sure he did just fine. I'm sure he's just fine. Even with his horrific cocaine addiction, I'm sure that he still has money that's making money for him somewhere. He's fine. And Biggie Marshall, how do you get to the point where it's over $1 million before you notice, like, some of the money's missing? If I have $1 missing, I know. I have it down to the penny. I know that there's 46 cents in my bank account, right? If some of that goes missing, I know that it went somewhere. But it's like, once it got to $1 million, it's like, oh, I seem to have misplaced $1 million somewhere. Where did that go? Like, bitch. $1 million. Before she's like, yeah, something's not right with these numbers. Like at 100,000, you didn't notice that? You had to lose like, 3 mansions worth of money before you're like, where's the money going? Wow. Because you can get mansions here for under 500,000. You know, maybe a couple 100,000. If you're a lobbyist and you just pay off Joe Mansion. So, I mean, either way, you can own a mansion for really cheap here, you know? Which that's what I'm thinking. You know, you go in one of these states and you buy off, somewhere in West Virginia, you could own all of the Senate for probably less than $250,000. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe we should just pool our money or something, do a GoFundMe and just buy off a state and create a utopia. Hunter Biden movie. I heard of it and I have not watched it. I'm interested. Is Gina Carano in that, or is she in one of the other movies? Because I know that she does movies for that same. My glasses, they're taped. My glasses keep fucking up. I might keep other ones because the arm keeps slowly sliding out of the tape, so it's. I guarantee you, Hunter Biden probably bought somebody's teeth in some war-torn country and had those implanted in his face because he's got that kind of money. He can do that. Daddy will buy him some more. Get him another job in the Ukraine. Fucking bullshit. Hold on. I'm gonna go get my other pair of glasses. I'll be right back. Oh, she is in it? Yeah. I want to watch it just to just laugh at it. But I'm probably gonna get slightly pissed off too. You look at the fuckery that happens here. But where'd my glasses go? I swear to God, I'm about like Velma. I'm constantly losing my fucking glasses. Or there was a thing where the coal mines were trying to take over, because what they would do is they would go to these people who had no experience with companies. You know, they were people that just, you know, lived off the land. They didn't know about all this shit or the shit that was what they were trying to do. So they would go to these, you know, relatively, you know, poor, simple, you know, not simple like intelligence, but, you know, they had simple lives. But they would just go and say, you know, hey, you know what? I see that you got a bunch of kids here. Wouldn't it be nice to have a new sewing machine? I tell you what, you send this little piece of paper, and we won't touch your land. You'll just sell the stuff that's under your land, right? You sell that to us, and I'll give you a new sewing machine. And a lot of people would do it. They would do that. Or even if they didn't sell, what happened was they did something where it was like this, they had to prove the land. You had to prove that you owned the deed. So a lot of this was handed down generation after generation. It was just kind of like agreed upon, like, oh, well, I don't know, but my dad lived here and he gave me the land, so, you know, that kind of thing. They didn't have deeds, and if they did, it was all like in the courthouses. So right before all this happened, there was these mysterious set of fires that would happen, and when you know it, all the courthouses burnt down. And the rule was, if you couldn't prove that the land was yours, it went directly to the coal companies. And that's how they snatched land out from underneath people. If they weren't just, you know, outright just being fake with them and selling them, you know, shit that was, you know, ripping them off. Yeah, but my glasses were all fucked up. The arm is taped on them, and the arm kept sliding out of the tape, so it was, had to go back in and get my other pair of glasses. I've been wearing these. My aunt got them for me back in like 2015, so I've been wearing the same pair of glasses for 7 years. I really need to have them. They're totally like not, they don't fit, and that's the pair that still has the arm attached to them. But yeah, that's just one of those things that add it to the list of shit that I gotta do. Eventually, one of these days. Thinking maybe tomorrow I can go over there, because they said as long as I go into, well, I don't even know if they're still in the mall. They said as long as I go in there, they'll, you know, fix them if there's any kind of, like if it needs a screw or something replaced on them. So if they're still in the mall, I'll see if they can fix the arm on those, because those fit better. They're nicer anyway. Oil companies did that to the Cajuns as well. See, that's what I'm saying. We have to talk about this shit. I never would have known that. I never would have known that. And they do that shit all the time because we don't talk to each other. They pit us against each other. You know, they don't even let us know what they're doing to us. Let alone, you know, for us to talk to anybody else about it or connect with people. So, yeah, that is, and it's not anything new. I hate that. I wish it was something like some new scheme, but this is like the tried and true, like, colonization methods, you know. Oh, okay. I'd like to hear that sometime, Howard. That'd be cool if you. Oh, and check out Howard's channel, the something Pilgrim, Ultimate Pilgrim, something. The Complete Pilgrim, is that what it is? Complete Pilgrim. You do a lot of good videos on there. Just walking us through stuff and Complete Pilgrim, yeah. I was trying to figure out because there's a way that you can change the channels on YouTube that, you know, so if you go over to like community or one of the tabs or channels, it'll show like channels that I recommend. I gotta figure out how to do that again. So I can add yours on there. I gotta update that anyway. It's probably old. I probably have channels on there that don't even exist anymore. Oh yeah, they do shit like that all the time. And they get by with it. Oh my gosh. And let me tell you about another one. Okay. So let's talk about the Buffalo Creek disaster. That's the one I mentioned earlier, where it was a slurry dam. So all the like the runoff, the sludge and byproducts from mining, they'll just throw it in a pit. And this one, it was like a pit that, you know, it had this makeshift dam. They knew that this dam was going to break. They knew that it was fucked up. They knew that it was going to break. They didn't want to spend the money to fix it. What happened was, one night, middle of the night, it broke. And it not only it wasn't just like being swept away. It was like mud, you know, so you couldn't even swim out of it. I mean, it was just, and plus all the toxic shit that was in it. Yeah, so it did miles of damage, killed hundreds, maybe 1,000, a little over 1,000 people. I think all in all, it was yeah, it was maybe 30 miles of damage. But what happened was, the governor at the time, Governor Capito, he tried to blackmail the coal company, and he went to prison. How often do you hear that? A politician going to prison. When's the last time that that's happened? Anytime? Any? Name a politician that's gone to prison. I mean, maybe one or two here and there. But yeah, he tried to blackmail them and extort money out of them. Because, you know, when it came to paying for the damages and stuff like that, which they didn't. They didn't even, it wasn't even, you know, pennies in the bucket compared to what the damage was. They didn't actually do anything. I mean, they paid a little bit of amount, but did that actually translate to getting things fixed? No. Anyway, he tried to blackmail them in order to extort them for money. So he went to prison for that. And his daughter is our senator here. And nobody talked about that company, but at the same time, it wasn't for, you know, to help us or anything, you know what I mean? But it's like, well, you know, somebody tried to stick it to him. But yeah, he spent, I think it was like 4 years in prison, something like that. But yeah, now his daughter gets to make laws. And you don't think that she's not part of that, you don't think they got handed down like that corruption? Same thing with Joe Manchin. His uncle was in the Senate back in the 80s. They impeached him because of improper use of funds. He blames it on an intern, and he resigned before they, you know, went any further with it. Did that change? It's like these criminals had criminal children, and they just took over the enterprise. Nobody talks about that shit, though. It involves hurting or stealing from other power. That's exactly it. And that it wasn't that the whole thing with what's his name? Starts with M, I think. He's notorious for the like Ponzi scheme or something. Yeah, but once you get to like governor level, like governor's like right, like that's like the highest level of state, you know, politician. You don't see governors going to jail. You don't see that. You don't see presidents or vice presidents or people with that kind of power going to jail at all. So that shit's just wild to me. But yeah, he went to fucking prison. And then his daughter got to be senator. And she gets to carry on the criminal legacy. Except she gets paid off by, different companies, and she's, learned a lesson by her father that you don't blackmail the people that fund your campaigns. You don't blackmail the people that buy you the yachts, okay? Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Lesson learned, right? She doesn't do that. Oh, the Cuomo family, Jesus Christ. Bunch of fucking meatheads. Meathead criminals. Oh my God. Fucking Cuomos. And they're so, oh God, they're just so slimy, man. And you look at them, it's like, and not just them, but it's like, how are they allowed to just speak to people? How are they allowed to go out there and just like walk into, like, Shelley Moore Capito? How do you get to walk into a kid's cancer unit and shake the hands of parents and shit without getting slapped right across your bitch ass face? Same with the Cuomos. They shouldn't be allowed to be in fucking polite society. None of these people. If they show their face in public, they should be like, I don't know, the pitchforks and the torches should come out, you know? We'll slap them right across their fucking dumbass face. And they're just so bad at it too. They're just so, I mean, like, be good at what you do. I mean, don't insult me with your shitty fucking lies. Get good. Be better than this. Be convincing. But to go out there and just, like, ooze out some, like, half-assed, bullshit line that doesn't make any sense. It's like, come on. You can do better than that. You raise yourself to a higher standard of bullshit. Okay? Get good at your bullshit. Be a Bernie Sanders, like, be one of them. Be an AOC, something that's, like, that's truly, that will pull the wool over your eyes for a moment, Somebody that you would want to fall for. I mean, if you're going to fall for anybody, you want to fall for something like that. Like, it's just insulting. It is. Just get good at being a liar. And I would blame the voters, but I know for a fact that there is a long history of tampering with the votes. I know this because my I don't even want to claim him, but technically, my great-grandfather was one of the bosses in the coal mines over there in, I think it's called Malden now, but it used to be Port Amherst at the time. They changed the name from Port Amherst to Reed to Malden. Anyway, and politicians and his bosses would give him alcohol, money, stuff like that in order to bribe the workers to vote a certain way. Or if that doesn't work, they'll just straight up just vote a certain way. And he gets up on stage with an American flag behind him, wearing an American flag shirt and hat, draping himself in the American flag, telling us about how we should vote a certain way. That's what they do. But yeah, that's what my unfortunate great-grandfather would do. And also, he was a horrible racist. Pretty sure he was in the Klan. And just an all-around disgusting human being. And just doing the work of all these horrible people while he was at it. So, naturally, my family has railed against that kind of thing. Or at least my grandma and myself did. Or she did, I do. Carry that on. Because that's fucking bullshit. And you have to undo, like, undo the damage. Because, I mean, God only knows what kind of fucking damage he did during his time on this earth. But he just couldn't handle that shit. He could not handle one little thing for a little girl to go up to him and say, hey, black people have the same blood as us. Because she was at school with this girl, a little black girl that fell down, scraped her knee, and she was always taught that they were different. She goes home excited to tell him they're the same. And he rocked her, just slapped her right across the face. Wouldn't speak to her the rest of the time that they lived together. Sitting there eating dinner at the same time, just would not, just dead to him. All because some little girl, and a little girl could see through his bullshit. Couldn't handle that. But that's the kind of people that they put in charge of stuff. That's the kind of shitty human being that gets power. That gets to choose what happens around here and choose what people do with their lives and how they live. And that's nothing, that wasn't just him. I mean, any coal mine you would see, you're going to see people like that in charge of it. And it has not changed. Has not changed. Because you've got to get these people to go along with forcing people into oh, and Don Blankenship, after, he killed like 30 people. Do you know what happened to him? He went to some white collar prison, right, where they get to play tennis and shit like that. He was there a couple years, and he has done nothing but bitch about it since then. He is a human colostomy bag. Just a giant sack of shit. And he gets to go online and tweet ridiculous things like, California's the one that's, you talk about West Virginia, but California has more pollution. It's like, yeah, there's more people there, dipshit. It doesn't take away from the poison that's being put into our environment, too. But no, he gets to go in there and say that. There were children, like, I consider them kids. Just such young kids that died in that. There was a guy that he worked with his son. His son was so excited to work with his dad. They worked together. His name's Jason. And his dad just was never the same after that. That was his boy. And he lost him. And they were burned. A lot of them were either suffocated or burned alive. One of the family members is her brother that died in it. They couldn't even identify the bodies. Because they couldn't show them the bodies to even identify, because they were just burnt beyond recognition. And that's thanks to Don Blankenship. And he gets to just walk around spouting stupid shit after going into some, like, open air, easy goddamn let's play tennis kind of jail. Did he have to pay? Yeah, he went to kind of like jail for a few years. But he gets to just walk around saying stupid shit all the time. And he even ran for office. Like, you don't get to do that anymore. You have to go into hiding. The very fact that you even have your life is a gift. Right? Because, if that was... All I'm saying is he killed people's kids in that. He killed people's family members, their loved ones. He's lucky that he is not hunted down and disappeared. Thrown down a mine shaft himself. Such restraint. To see these people walking around and knowing that their loved ones are dead because of this dude. And some people lost multiple family members in that. And that's not the only one. Like I said, when I worked at the hospital, there was a few of them that were not as deadly as that. There's people that have been injured and stuff, but typically they're going more towards the mountaintop removal, because it's, they pretty much mined everything. And even if there's some underground coal mining, it's like they don't, the payout is not as good. The PR and stuff like that. And, so yeah. And do you know how much they make if one of the miners dies? You know how much the family gets if a miner dies while working? $10K. $10K. Yeah, eye for an eye isn't right, but I'm just saying, I remember seeing this man. It's just haunting. And that was his boy, that was his son, his only son, gone. That level of wrongness and loss will drive people to do stuff like that. And I don't know how he's able to get by with it without somebody. 10 grand. Yeah, that's how much our lives are worth. Not that much more than a mule, still. A little bit more than a mule. Maybe, a few, you could probably get a few mules for that. The 10,000, that's it. That's not even enough to, get the widow or their family through a year of the loss of wages or something. You know what I mean? Not that that's what it's about, but, when you're trying to compensate somebody for giving their life for this, yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot more than 10K. No, it's not right. You're right, Josh. But that kind of thing, and when you add it all up, And you see, it's not just that one kid, but all these other families and all the lives and destruction. It almost seems like self-defense. I'm not arguing for it. I think that's wrong. I think that, we should try a compassionate route. But my heart goes out to these families and stuff. So that's just really fucked up. I mean, it's easy for me to say that. But, could I say that if it was one of my boys that happened to? Probably not. He should be held responsible for sure. And that right there, see, that's the thing. If he was held responsible, fully accountable for his actions, and not only that, don't just scapegoat it all on him, because he was answering to other people too. Take care of it to where it doesn't happen in the future. Change the laws. Change the working conditions. No, I'm glad you put that in there, Josh, because I get so fucking fired up. But you're right. You are right. Because even if you did do that, they just put another one in his place. There's somebody else that's doing his old job that's doing the same shit. Guaranteed. But I get so emotional because I have to look at these people. I see the destruction. Like I said, I've seen the lives destroyed. I've seen the addictions that they turn to. The things that they've been robbed of. It's just... Nobody should have to go through this, and for a community to have to go through it over and over and over and over for at least, over a century now. Over a century of this shit. And nothing's changed. But it's easy to get blinded by that rage and sadness and stuff and want to lash out like that, but that doesn't change. It changes nothing. Like I said, even, I used to rail about getting Joe Manchin out of office. Not that I still don't want to get him out of office, but just for personal reasons. But getting him out of office wasn't going to change anything, because they're just going to put another Joe Manchin in, that it would take, another 15, 20 years before people realized what a piece of shit they were. And we'd start the whole process all over again. It's just the same shit. What feels good isn't always good. Hey, being on opiates felt pretty good. Was it good? Absolutely not. Taking vape pills, as most people around here know, feels pretty damn good. Is it destructive? Yes. But that's the thing, is you're so deprived of anything that feels good that, people will latch on to shit like that, and it's not logical, and it's harmful, and yeah. But he should never have gotten out of prison. You name somebody else that killed 30 people that gets to just walk around free, complain on Twitter about how unfairly they were treated. War criminals. Kissinger gets to just exist. Hillary Clinton, and literally any president we've had. Yeah, that's the thing I've always said. I don't want to lower myself to their standards. That's what makes them gross. And that's why we have to be better than them. We cannot, because that's the thing, is a lot of people get lost in that, we have to fight fire with fire. We have to, if they can do this, then we can do this. It's no, that's the problem, is because, we're not going to use people as pawns and lie to them and get people killed and hurt people just to achieve a goal, because then we become those people. I don't want to be those people. I don't want to lower myself to those standards. But like I said, it's real easy for me to say that. I can understand how people get there when it's, their children, their parents, their, loved ones that went through that. I can get it. I understand it's not right, but I understand it. Hell, I wasn't even directly involved with it, and it still makes me want to fucking choke a bitch. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll check Messenger. Hopefully, I can talk to you tomorrow if you're free. Yeah, but I get it. I fucking get it. Or there's a... Oh my god. I mean, I could just go on, but that's the thing is, like, I can't go... I can only do this for so long, talk about it for so long, because, it's really, gruesome. The history here is really fucking gruesome, and it's very fucking painful. And it's a bit of a downer, you know. It's a kind of hard to keep things entertaining and light when, you know, you're talking about people's kids getting killed and, you know, burning up in the mines and getting crushed to death and kids getting cancer and shit like that. You know, a little hard to make jokes. Night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Man, just fucked up shit, man. He got Joe Manchin cruising around his goddamn yacht on the Canal River that he poisoned. Motherfucker. Driving in his Maserati. How is it that you're, like, in the second poorest state? He's a senator in the second poorest state in the nation, and he has a yacht and a Maserati. Make it make sense, Joe. Make it make sense. Do the math for me. Please. Explain it. Because, it doesn't. Because the only way that adds up is, maybe your daughter works for a big pharmaceutical company that you're getting kickbacks for. I don't know. Just a theory. You know, the same company that she worked for is what the WVU football stadium is named after. The Milan Puskar Stadium. Named after the guy that started Milan. That his daughter, Heather Bresch, went to WVU. Got a degree, even though she didn't do the classes. There was a big uproar about that when he was interim governor. Instead, she jacked up the price of the EpiPens to make sure that, you know, she's price gouging people that need it to save their lives. I mean, you want to live, right? You're going to pay it. No matter how much it costs. You got to pay it. I mean, you don't want to die, right? It's hard to pay your bills and shit when you're dead. But yeah. And I'm sure that by keeping, you know, marijuana out of the state, by letting Big Pharma do whatever the fuck they want here, I'm sure Joe Manchin's not getting any kind of kickbacks from that. I'm sure he has a Maserati and a yacht because he just worked a lot harder than we did. He's working a lot harder than those coal miners. Bullshit. Bullshit. And I got the news article over there. Let them do heroin. They don't have to count heroin users now, the people that can't get the pain pills because they were cut off from their supply or now, you know, turned to heroin. And they don't have to count those people in their death toll. They don't have to be responsible for those people. They're off the hook, scot-free. Oh, and the guy that's supposed to be prosecuting them, him and his wife both were lobbyists for them. And then when he got in office and was named Attorney General, his first thing was not to go after the pharmaceutical companies. His first job was to do tort reform. So that way when he went after the pharmaceutical companies, they had a scapegoat. So these places that would take care of kids, you know, newborns that were born with drugs in their system, now they're held responsible. Now they get sued. They have to pay a portion. The police and the fire departments, fire department paramedics, people that were going out and trying to save people that overdose, they have to pay it now. So he shaved off millions of dollars from this lawsuit just by doing that. Saved them a bunch of money. But I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that him and his wife are lobbyists for him. Just like, Joe Manchin doesn't have a Maserati and a yacht because of what he's done for Big Pharma. Sure, it's all just a weird coincidence. And even the governor, he goes out there and in his inauguration speech, he talks about how he's going to get J.P. Morgan. He goes, or some other bank. You could tell he slipped up and he tried to catch himself. that he was going to borrow money from this bank in order to pay for the roads. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. Which I already debunked that in another video. But he said he wanted to bring back timber, hospitality industry, and coal, which is every fucking business that he's invested in. Because he owns the Greenbrier. He owns like all the like hospitality, golf courses and stuff like that. He owns those, so of course he wants to put money into hospitality because he's going to make bank off of that. He wants to. He owns the coal mines, so of course he's not going to do anything about. He's not going to do anything against the coal companies. In fact, he's going to make them richer, himself richer. Yep. Timber. He owns timber companies. All the things that he wanted to make great about West Virginia, and all the industries here, is shit that he owned. Isn't that weird? I'm sure it was just a coincidence. And also, I got a document somewhere of all the stocks that he owns. And he owns stock in, it was like Moderna, and, some of these other pharmaceutical. He's got a lot of money invested, but it's the same stocks that you see a lot of these rich fucks invest in. Coca-Cola, Microsoft, the staples. So yeah, it's the same kind of business plan. I mean, he's not that different when it comes to the stocks that he owns. I mean, probably no different than Pelosi or any of them, but still, he's making money off of this shit. So when he said something about masks, he didn't want people wearing masks. He wasn't too concerned about that, but he was also trying to pay people off in bonds, not actual cash. Wanted to give people bonds in order to bribe them to get the vaccine that he gets to make bank off of. He wasn't making bank off the face mask, so that's why he was just like, whatever, for a while. But yeah, switched to a Republican later. But when he was a registered Democrat, he took some of his mines and he sold them to these Russian investors. And then it was like right before he ran, he bought the mines back. He bought his shares of mines back. So, and then when they were doing this whole thing about Russia and the Republicans and all this, Trump, I said, well, because I called it in the Tom Hartman show and I gave him that little piece of information. He said, well, maybe there was a good reason. Because at the time he was a Democrat and they didn't want to talk about the Democrats' connections to, Russian corporations or government or whatever. I mean, most of that shit was bullshit anyway, right? I mean, maybe there was something in there, but the stuff that I heard was bullshit. But what wasn't bullshit is the Democratic Party, their connection to the corporations over there. That's not bullshit. Hillary Clinton, she did the uranium, all this. Like, Joe Biden, with the, Hunter in the Ukraine, and now we've got all this stuff with the Ukraine. It's almost like he's Zelensky's puppet. How they were saying about Trump. Not that Trump was a good guy. He fucking sucked, just like everybody else, but everything that they blamed him for doing, they were doing. They were doing everything that they were blaming him for. Everything that they said was going to happen underneath his presidency has happened under Biden's presidency. Look at all the billions of dollars he's given the Ukraine. Look at, the nepotism of having a crackhead in charge of, like, political affairs in fucking Ukraine. Oh, the abortion's gone. They reversed that. So it's like, oh, isn't that something that they accused Trump of doing? But it happened under Biden's presidency. And I thought they had all these seats. I thought they were in majority. I thought they had control of shit. But they just, they can't stop it from happening? Bullshit. It's all such bullshit. Tom Hartman, yeah, he is a fucking neoliberal. When I first started getting into this stuff, I liked his show because it seemed, he was saying stuff that I wasn't hearing. Because that was another thing that I fell victim to, because after watching Fox and MSNBC, seeing some of these independent news people. I mean, I remember seeing TYT cover news over the MCHM spill, and I was like, oh my god, like they're actually, like they're not blaming us, they're not making fun of us, they're actually covering a news story, and they did it correctly. And what's that one that they would always fight with? Sam Cedar. He did the same thing. He did an excellent coverage of what happened here. And because of that, I thought that they were doing good reporting. And then it was like after watching him, I was like, oh, like you're doing like emotional baiting and like, and you can see like a real turn, um, especially with with the elections and stuff. Because I mean, they were really at the time. I think that they were doing a pretty good job of bringing people in and lying and shit. But it got real when it was real. It got real fast with them when Bernie lost. So yeah, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing. But yeah, that was one of those lessons I had to learn. Just because they're independent, just because, they might cover a story here and there that's done well, that doesn't mean that, especially when they're using like emotional manipulation. And they would use this to like, and I would see them use these things to do like virtue signaling or to get up and do like an emotional grandstanding rant, to make it seem. I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe the first time, sure. First couple of times, sure. But it's like, you're just picking certain things just to. And the same people that they were advocating for and saying that, oh, like here with the spill, it's not their fault, this, and that. And all the coverage that they did with that went right out the fucking window when it was Hillary against Trump. And now all of a sudden, we're just a bunch of, racist idiots that vote against our own self-interest. I was like, okay, well, you've revealed yourself. People will say that, like, if you want to know what's going on with this, if you want to know how to invest, watch politics. Mirror how Nancy Pelosi invests. And I saw there was a woman on TikTok that did that. And she said that, that was the best piece of advice she ever got was invest like Nancy Pelosi. And so she would pay attention to the laws and stuff she was passing, stocks that she was invested in. And she made bank because of that. Because it's like you get to manipulate everything. You get to, you could even gut one market, buy cheap, and then you could change the laws. And then all of a sudden you're getting an investment that your return on investment is like, I mean, 10, 20, 50 times what you paid for it. So, Pelosi. That's another one that just needs to, I mean, god damn. She's going to be like Kissinger, isn't she? She's going to be like, y'all ever see, y'all ever watch SpongeBob? And it's got that, oh my god. And they're going around selling chocolate, and they're like, chocolate. Oh, I remember chocolate. It's like that shriveled up spine that's in the wheelchair. That's going to be Pelosi. She's going to be 150 fucking years old, just a shriveled up spine in a wheelchair. And she's going to go out there and be like, oh, the Democrats. Bleh. Fucking bullshit. That's who I mean, she's like, what, 5 years away from that? She's like 5 years away from just being that. NANCETF. She's the worst. Hold on, let me get a picture of that. So that way I'll remember to Google that. And that was another thing when I was doing my research on all the local people. If I used Google, I wasn't getting anything back. I had to use DuckDuckGo, and I got some wild results back. There are websites out there, and that's how I found the Chemical Alliance Zone, the one that Tomlin was working with. I found that by using DuckDuckGo, because on Google that shit does not show up. That's for the people that are in the know. That's for the people that with the money. And when I used DuckDuckGo, I was getting shit back that was like, I don't think I'm supposed to see this. This is not something that people in my tax bracket are supposed to see. You know, it was like lobbyist sites and shit like that. I mean, there was one, it was, I think it was like an oil industry website. And I'm like, y'all are saying the quiet parts out loud. Like, they were talking about, it was just wild. It was just wild. Like, they were just talking like, you know, like nobody was listening kind of shit. I don't know what an ETF is either. Yeah, I'm still trying to learn about stuff like that, but it's a completely different language that I don't speak. You know, it's like all the vocabulary and acronyms and you know, and they make it complicated. Like they make shit like that and economics and money, you know, all that. They make it like super complicated because they want to weed out people like me. You know, they don't want us to know how that shit works. If we knew how that actually worked, and I don't think it's that complicated, but they make it. It's like by design. It really shouldn't. It isn't. I mean, but it's like all these, I don't know, different ways that they make it complicated. Like, oh, okay, well, the money's got to go here and then there, and then that person's in charge of this, and then they sign off, and then blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's about the rich getting richer, you know? It's not, that part's not complicated. The people that run the stock markets are the same people that run the politicians. That, if you really want to get down to it, and it's who owns these big stocks. That's the people that you got to keep an eye on because, you know, so, yeah, and I'm not talking about the, like, stocks that you're doing, Michael. I'm talking about, like, the ones that we're not allowed to invest in. Those. I mean, not GameStop or, you know, I mean, like, I mean, you can make some money off of shit like that, but I'm talking about the ones, the big players. The big ones. Those are the ones that you got to watch. And it's the people that own the stocks in that. And the same people making money off of that, buying off the politicians, are usually one and the same. Like Nancy Pelosi. Or my governor. Or I remember there was a thing a few years back about, I think it was a couple of Georgian politicians that had done some insider stock trading before the lockdowns and stuff. They were selling and buying and doing stuff like that before they were passing laws, before they were doing anything else. Yeah, and political donations, that's another tricky one because they'll hide behind all these LLCs and there's dark money. There's also gifts and things like that. There's ways that, and sometimes they don't even have to give them donations. If they own stocks, and I think Nancy Pelosi is one of those that was guilty of this, it's like you basically get paid in stocks. And so she wasn't getting like donations, but she had stocks and things that, yeah, that she was making money off of. So it's like there's ways they hide shit like that all the time. There was so many times where I've tried to go down this rabbit hole of figuring out what's this. I mean, because it's all these LLCs, and I'm like, okay, where is this LLC? Who is this? You know, try to figure it out. And I think you can do like what's that called? The Freedom of Information Act. I think you can do that and get the information, but it costs, you know, a couple $100 each time, and it takes, you know, forever. You know, it's not, you know, they're going to drag their fucking feet on that one, guaranteed. I took a picture of it, that way I can Google it. And which one? Because Josh, you said that we could have invested in those stocks. Because I know there's some of them that, I mean, maybe because I'm not as educated on it as I should be, but I mean, isn't there certain stocks that they have to, like, you have to go in and they have to, you know, screen you, like they'll have to allow you, they'll see if you've got the money, they'll, like, you know, if they like the cut of your jib, basically, you know, then you can invest in it. Oh, the ones they invested in during the pandemic, yeah. Yeah, I think those are ones, yeah. You don't think so? I remember seeing something like that. But like I said, I'm not as educated as I should be on it. Um, I just wish I knew more about who owns what. Because if I knew that, there's a lot that I could predict based on that. I mean, if you know who owns what stocks, you know how they're gonna, what kind of shit they're gonna pull in office. You know who's, or if they cost, shareholders money, and you know that they're not gonna be reelected, things like that. Okay, I guess I don't know where I got that from. I don't know. I don't know where I got that from. But I know that a lot of them are ones that you have to have. I mean, to buy into it costs a lot. I don't know. Where the kind of fucking fever dream did I get that from? Oh, I might be getting it confused with something else. Maybe like board members or something. I don't know. Who fucking knows? Yeah. Hedge funds. Oh, God. This is good stuff. This is good information in the chat. Hedge funds have access to Bloomberg terminals, which costs a lot of money and gives the best investment info for stocks. But if you have enough money, you can still buy it. I don't know what that was. But once it goes public, anybody can buy it. So, um, yeah, that's one of those things. But the stock markets are like, it's so stupid. I'm sorry, it's so stupid. I hate the way that because people could just have a feeling about something. If there's a panic, it can make the stock and something go down. Or if somebody, all they have to do is whisper it in the right ears. Oh, I heard so and so is going to sell their stocks. Or if they see one person doing it, it's like you're startling the herd. And it's just like, oh, panic, panic. And, it's just like chaos. It's like, what? It doesn't have to be rooted in anything concrete. I mean, like, it could just be on rumors or something. It's stupid. It's like, I feel like there should be, like, a more concrete thing to change it. Like, based on the income or based on, but just, like, having people panic and, I don't know. See, that's when you invest in for dividends. It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that even means. As I said, it's like a whole new language, a whole new culture, everything that you have to learn when you learn about this shit. It's not. And for people that grew up without even having money, I don't even know how the money works that I get. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to spend that? I don't know. On top of, like, I don't know, IRAs and ROIs and ABCs and DFGs. What the fuck? It's just a bunch of acronyms and shit. I don't get it. And my brain just, like, flatlines. It flatlines. I'm trying my best. But the part of my brain that's like, man, it just shuts off. And as much as I want to know it, as much as I care, just that part of my brain is just like, oh, it's like legal paperwork, it's like trying to read the terms and conditions for something. Like, oh my God. Ugh. It's like, should you read it? Yeah. Is it important? Yeah. You should probably know what you're signing up for, but at the same time, your brain looks at it, it's like, that's a lot, and it just shuts off. It's just, I got to do it in little bits and pieces. I wish I need the kindergarten version. I need the, I don't know, maybe a cartoon version of it. Like something a little bit more to trick my brain into learning about it. Because once we get into all these fucking acronyms and shit, I'm like, oh, okay. It shuts off. Just finished making spaghetti. Oh, man. I made I gotta go to the store tomorrow. I went to the store and I got, like, fruit. I got like this smoothie drink. It's like, I don't know, Green Machine or something. So I was trying to get like fruits and vegetables instead of just the absolute garbage. Because where I wasn't eating or taking care of myself, it was just something little I could just go down and just, get something nutritious. So I got bananas and stuff like that. But I don't like anything like for a meal, and I'm fucking hungry. I think the only thing I got right now is fucking sandwich meat and pizza bites, which neither one sounds good. Maybe I can go steam some asparagus or something. I got some asparagus I can make. I do love some asparagus. Doesn't really go with it. Yeah, you got me thinking about food now. I'm a fat kid. That's the one thing I could never be skinny because I don't like being hungry that much. It's like I could be skinny, but I like being full. And plus, man, the food we make around here is so damn good. Biscuits and gravy. I have a cast iron skillet that my great grandma had. So this is like ancient cast iron skillet, and I'll make fried chicken in that, and it just slides out of there like fucking butter, man. It's so good. Oh, that's just probably camera angles. Nah, I'm definitely, I, I'm definitely not skinny. I just tuck it in my pants. Y'all wouldn't know. One of the secrets. I'm out like Other than that, I don't think there's ever a time in my life that we consider that. I think the smallest ever was, but I'm like 5'10". The smallest ever was, I was like 145, 150. That's when I was doing the YouTube. I was in the basement, and yeah, that was the skinniest I ever was. But I am not too far. I took it a little too far there. Like people were concerned. Like in real life, they're like, "Do you need food?" Yeah, because I've never been skinny like that, and so yeah. But then after I stopped doing like the extreme dieting kind of thing and working out, I put too much back on, and then I lost some of it. So I'm trying to find like a healthy balance. I think with my build and my height, probably like probably need to lose like another 20, but if not, it's like fuck it, I don't care. I'm getting to that age, it don't matter. No, I spent way too much time being insecure about it and worrying about it, stressing about it. I don't give a shit now. It's I saw a shirt one time. It was, this was probably like 10 years ago, probably longer than that. Me and my mom were driving back from one of our trips, I think from like North Carolina, and we stopped at this rest area, and they were selling, West Virginia shirts, and one of them had a picture of the mountains on it and said "Lumpy, but we love it," and we laughed our asses off at that, and we still quote that thing. So that's basically, it's lumpy, but I love it. It's all right. Anybody minds don't matter. Oh God, oh God, I wish I could reach out to younger me and just be like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because when you get older, it's going to be a thing. Because in the early 2000s, holy shit. They had people that were like, literally like anorexic, bulimic, and that was like the height of health. Like they Photoshop too on top of that. And they were like, this is the standard of beauty. I'm like, oh my God, if my friend, she was skinny, and she would literally pinch her skin. She'd be like, oh my God, I'm so fat. I'm like, then what am I, bitch? What? But you know what? That's a whole thing now. There's like a whole group of people that's into that. So, as long as I'm healthy, who gives a shit? Yeah. You can't make everybody happy. And, if it comes down to making somebody happy plus I wish I still had my strength. See, that's the one thing I do want to go back to the gym, because I lost like a lot of my muscle that I had. Like when I was doing roller derby, oh man, I was fucking built I'm big, but I mean, I had muscle. At one point, I was squatting 350. I do that now, but at one point it was. I mean, I had the. I mean, I could kill a man with my thighs. Like, I miss that. I get back, doing things here and there around the house, like doing squats and things like that. Just basic little things. Trying to, be a little bit healthier because I know I wasn't being healthy. With the way I was eating or, my exercise, level. So I've been working on that. Just accountability for my health. Dude, oh, god damn, I miss those days. I'll get back to it. But yeah, I could lift. I could still lift both my kids up. One's 12, one's 10. They probably, he's taller, he's skinnier. Eli's built a little thicker. But I could still lift both my kids up. And that was always my goal. I'm never going to get to that stage where I can't pick my kids up. I don't care what I have to do. They can be full grown men, and I don't care how much I got to lift because I'm going to be able to pick up both my kids and hold them and hug them. So, I'll just pick them both up and just, do some squats or whatever. I was trying to do a roller derby name, and I never got too far into it where it was an official one. But my temporary one was the Crimson King. Because I was a big, Dark Tower fan. My last name's King, so, that was my temporary one. That was on my jersey. Oh, I haven't seen that. Yeah, but my upper body strength, and there's like the ones where like you sit on or like on the edge of the chair and you like do that, because I've never had upper body strength, never been able to do a pull up. I can lift certain things, like it depends. Like when I worked at Little Caesars, we would have like these 80-pound sacks of flour, and I could pick up like 3 of them and carry them, or like pick them up like that. But if it comes to like lifting this way, or like a pull up or something like that, no. I mean, if my life depended on climbing a rope, I would die. Never been able to climb a rope, do a pull up, nothing like that. Yeah, but I was trying to figure out something that was a little bit better than that, and it just didn't quite. I like the ones. I came up with one. I wanted to go with Dr. Frankenherder, but that one was already taken, so you can't do one that's already been used. And some of them, I come up with some really clever ones, but they were already in use. Do push-ups, and when you're tired, drop to the knees and do more. See, I can't even do a push-up. I think there was at one point I could kind of do a half-ass push-up, but yeah, I got to start like with the doing that, like knees and stuff, because oh my god, Eli roasted my ass. Roasted my fucking ass, because I was doing something and I had my some of this I was big, 300 pounds, and I lost a bunch of weight really fast. So some of it's just it's going to be there. It's just, after having pregnancies and growing and shrinking and stuff, just going to be a little. Have you ever seen the gif of Zoidberg when he like molts his shell off, and it's just like, that's kind of like where I'm at. But even like when I'm like lose weight and I had muscle and all that, I'm still gonna be jiggly. But yeah. Ooh, Crimson Thunderbolt. That's kind of cool. That sounds like a superhero or supervillain. I like that. But yeah, that's yeah. So, but yeah, Eli roasted my ass because I was doing something, and he just came over and just fucking, I was like, what the fuck, man? And he was making fun of me for it. Beach rest at some yoga. And I did that one. It's like, have you seen the one where they like do the thing where you lay back and you put your legs straight up in the air? And I did that, and I was like, and then he tried to do that, and then I ended up doing like folding completely backwards, so my feet were behind me, like on the floor, and I was like, yeah, I still got it. I still fucking no flexible. That's one thing. Upper body strength, no. But yeah, I I got one over on him. I was like, yeah, you can make fun of my flabby arms, but I could fucking do some yoga. Now, one of these days, probably pretty soon, he's going to be able to kick my ass and all this stuff. But one last win for the mom. Blank sneeze. See, a lot of it too is the way that I stand, and I didn't realize this, but like I'll lock my knees back, and my stance is all weird. Like I'll put on my weight. I don't eat right, and I noticed this when I was doing like the MMA stuff, and I was like, trying to throw a punch and stuff. I'm like this, because the way I would stand, the way you're supposed to throw, it's like I wasn't throwing from the right place. Like you're supposed to push. So I wasn't even standing the right way. I had to learn how to stand. Because sports and physical activity, not my strong suit. Not, I've always been a bookworm. I've had more of a sedentary life. So I just had to learn how to stand. I was like, oh, I gotta distribute weight. And then by the time I think about this, okay, so I'm like sitting there, right, and I'm trying to do. God damn it. So it's like, okay, so you're supposed to have your feet a certain way, right? And then you're supposed to, like, okay, have your stance, and then you got your stance, and then you're supposed to, and I'm like, okay, so I got to throw from the hip, and you got to do this, and it's like, well, by the time, it's like, this is so complicated. Like, how do these guys just, it's like all these different moving parts that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm like, fuck it. I can't do this. I was like, I guess if I get in a fight, I'm just going to have my ass kicked, because that's just fucking hard to do. Yeah, rotate. There was one time, oh, man, I should have been wearing gloves. One time, I nailed the most solid fucking punch, man. It was the perfect, I had the follow through, all of it. And the one time I didn't have gloves on, and I threw that punch, and my hand was so bruised up from it, but, man, that felt good. It felt fucking good. Yeah, planks. I could do some planks. I need a lot of core strength, because just from, the way I stand's one problem, and then just from sitting and reading and researching and stuff, like all these muscles are like short. There ain't no muscles in there. Yeah. But it was a good workout, because I was trying to like, and because he's like, keep your arms up. I'm like, okay, my arms are up. Okay, throw the punch, do this, stand like this. I'm like, God. And then you can't just stand there too. It's like you got to move around. And I'm like, well, now I got to get repositioned. Hold on, just like I got to get my feet right. But you're supposed to be moving around, and I'm like, damn. They make it look easy, but that's the thing. With that is it's a lot of footwork. Same thing with dancing. Can't say that I'm that skilled of a dancer, but can do a few things. I can electric slide. Yeah, it's all about the foot placement. So I was trying to work on dancing, and it always ended up, because I'm fucking goofy with it. Like, it always turned out to be something like I tried like. It would always end up like something sexy. I'm like, ooh, like MMA is kind of sexy. It's like, wrestling around. It's like, yeah, get me in that rear naked chokehold. It sounds sexy. Even that just is like, well, I can't help but make it goofy. I just can't take it too seriously. Just being goofy. It's a little homoerotic. A little. Or you're trying to be like were you expecting to be tickled? Get you off your guard. Jiu-jitsu is very gay. Jim's got a sled called the puke machine. Oh, God. I don't think I want to get on anything called the puke machine. See, I got back muscles too. Like, I could do the row machine. Easy. I don't know, it's just like certain, this shit down here. I don't know. whatever muscles those are, and core. But mostly I gotta work on core, and like just standing fucking right. I think it's where I have scoliosis, so a lot of times I would just lean. I'd lean a certain way, so I put a lot, even though I'm right-handed, a lot of my weight I'll put on my left leg for some reason. And so it makes it all weird. So it's supposed to be like, since I'm right-handed, I'm supposed to have my weight on here, because like if you're, punching from this, your weight's supposed to be on that leg, but this leg was like weak as shit. I've been working on that, trying to get this like evened up with this side. I don't know, it sounds crazy, but yeah, I have to strengthen this side up because this side ain't doing it. Yeah, like wrap your. See what I mean? How are you not gonna make that sexy? How is that not? How? I mean, somebody wrap their legs around my head. I could not be trusted with that. I cannot be in a class with somebody. There ain't no way. No, I would go to jail. I would be on the list somewhere. You wrap your legs around my head, see what happens. There ain't no way. And that's why I could never learn this stuff. Jimmy tried to teach me so many times. I was like, I can't do this. This is... I don't know how people do this in a class and just like... I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, just certain things like that. And I didn't even realize... And that's one thing I'm glad he taught me. Because I didn't realize how... I'd have it, like, I'll live in my head. I'll be thinking about things. I'm reading. But I'm living in here and I'm not aware of the physical. So, and I didn't realize how much of that would affect my mental abilities. Like, you're hungry or you're tired or, you're not taking care of yourself, if you're eating junk food, how much that diminishes your mental capacity. So, once I learned that, it's like, oh man, I gotta start like caring about that shit too. Damn. Like I used to just check out of that, but now it's like, oh, well, now I gotta eat better, exercise more, shit like that. Hey Jasper. Yeah, check me out. I mean, if I was in a class, I would say at least 3 times during that class, I'd be like, harder, daddy. Like, you can't trust me with that. I can't trust me with that. It would not be good. There's no way I could do that class. Hell no. Okay, Jesus Christ. Yeah, oh my God, get triangle. Yeah, oh my God, no. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how these MMA dudes do it too. And then it's like all like this masculinity, like, tough guy, I'm gonna wrap your legs around my head. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, there's probably some spicy videos out there with that premise. Certain websites. Just wild. But it's also, they also say that too. It's like the people that are good fighters or good dancers, because it's like the footwork stuff. Which, once I started paying attention to that, I noticed how fucked up I was from the bottom up. Like my stance is wrong. I mean, I got my knees locked, and I don't even, as I keep trying to undo that, and I don't realize it. I'm like, okay, wait, unlock your knees. Okay, unlock your knees, and then, shit, yeah, but I'm just standing there with my knees completely locked backwards. Like, I mean, just crazy shit. And I'm like, why am I standing so weird? And then it's almost like, like when you smoke too much weed, and then you start questioning, like, is this how people walk? And that's what I'm doing now. It's like, okay, knees bent. Okay, just, how the fuck do people stand? And now I just feel like a weirdo. It's like, am I standing shoulders back? Is that too far back? Is this too far forward? Am I like... How do people work? There's no instruction manual to the body. I need an instruction manual for this. And even walking, like when I start getting my stance better, with my knees like not locked and, distributing my weight like I should. And I start walking, I'm like, oh, this is how people this is how people walk. Okay, okay, I'm getting there. I'm knocking shit down and everything. I get too excited. But yeah, it's weird. And it's like people just know how to do this. Did anybody else get a tutorial on how to fucking use their body? Or am I just some weirdo? I don't know. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be this hard to know how to operate this thing. I've had it for 35 years, like, and I don't know how to use it yet. I mean, granted, I don't use it like most people do. You know, I've spent more of a sedentary life. Like even when I was a kid, I wasn't the kid that was out run around. In here I've never used. Who knows? Probably these ones here. Probably those are probably the ones I've never used. But shit, you start somewhere. And start all the time. I'm like, the older I get, the harder it's gonna be. You know, I used to be in the gym, work out a little bit, and then just back to like. I used to go to. My mom has almost an acre of property, and I would go out there, and there was fencing that we had to put up all around it for the dog and stuff. So I would go out there and we had to drive, or I say we, I had to drive these metal poles into the ground with a sledgehammer, like every, I don't know, about every 6 feet or so, all around the property. And, doing volleyball and stuff like that, it was about the same time. So, that was probably the most upper body strength I've ever had. But, you gotta do shit like that. But first step is, I guess, standing like a normal human being and not some weirdo invasion of the body snatchers. Like, I just got put into this thing, like, yesterday. Like, how does this work? I don't know. There's certain things I could do. Like, I could throw, shit. It's weird. Can't do a pull-up, but there's other things that I can do. Different things. I don't know, swinging it, like, we were playing baseball here at teach baseball. I hit the ball into the outfield. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, I could do pretty good on throwing-ish. Yeah, it takes practice, and it's just one of those things where, where I wasn't, I don't know, I'm just not used to using this thing, for stuff like that. I'm used to working hard. That's always been like the majority of my exercise and workout. It's just working hard. But working hard doesn't translate to, like actual exercise. So like, when I was, you can work hard all day, but that doesn't mean like if you're not mobile, if you're just standing there, like there's so many jobs I've had where I'm just standing there. I'll bust my ass. I'll be lifting stuff, especially when I was working at the pizza places. I was lifting all kinds, just stacks of, just a lot of lifting and stuff. I think the job that was the best was when I worked at LabCorp. So we had these specimens that would come in. We had to run them through the slides, and then we put them back in the containers. And there was like this big industrial barrel that we would have to pour all of them in for waste. Squat down, get the specimen, stand back up, dump it out. So I was doing like hundreds of squats every day. That's back when I was doing roller derby too. But I had to do that because when that's how you get get the squats and stuff to try to like build that up. And man, I gotta start getting back into that. But I've been doing a little bit here and there, but it just takes time. BG stuck in your head. Yeah, I don't know about all that. This is just it's a fucking shit show. This is a flesh prison that I'm trapped in that I have to take care of now, apparently. I just never really got into that. Never was. I like being strong. And, stuff like that. I've always, prided myself on how much I can lift. And I want to be jacked, man. But yeah, I do like that. I mean, I love being able to lift stuff, especially. Oh my God, because I've had boyfriends too in the past. Where I could pick them up. I could pick them up, and I could manhandle them, throw them over my shoulder, take them home with me. I like being the strong one. Or when guys are like, "Oh, in here, girl, you can't do this." Like, no, whatever. I sure can. I work out, bitch. I haven't deadlifted, no. But yeah, that's one thing. I want to be strong, but in order to do that, like I got to work on like the proper lifting techniques because I've never been trained on any of that stuff or how to do it. So I'm probably lifting, when I do pick stuff up, it's, lift with the back. It's like, that's how you're supposed to do it, right? No. Yeah, so I gotta, if I'm not standing correctly, if I'm not, doing it the right way, lifting the right parts, it's not gonna be effective. Yeah, I should get into that. I want to. I know when I lived down there in South Charleston, if you live in South Charleston, you can go to the gym there, and it's $1 a day. And I would go there, and I'd go first thing in the morning because it was $1. Even if you left and you came back, if it was within the same day, you didn't have to pay again. So I would go in the morning, and then I would go before they closed. And I loved it. I was using I mean, I didn't even know how to do this, but I was just using. I was probably using some of them wrong, but whatever machines and stuff. But there was always like bros with the weights, and I don't know how to do the weight stuff. But yeah, I'd go down there and work out a lot. They had basketball, pool. I mean, all kind. I mean, that's a really good gym. Now, the closest one we have here, I think it's Anytime Fitness, and it costs a good bit. Or Planet Fitness, or I think it's Anytime because it's the 24-hour one. But there's also a Nautilus, and I might be able to get a discount on that because where my mom works at the hospital, she might be able to. They get a discount there, so I don't know. I have to look into that because the Nautilus isn't too much farther down the road, like maybe 2 miles past that. I might be able to get something in there. I got a weight bench. I just don't have the weights. Jimmy left the weight bench. He took the weights, so I'll be like SpongeBob in there with like two stuffed animals on each side, like yeah. Yeah, anytime, yeah. I think I went to one at one point when I was working at the hospital. I went to one, and like when Jimmy had his membership there, because I think he had like some major discount when he worked at JD Byrider, and he could bring somebody, so we'd go down there, and like that. They had, that's when I was doing like had that squat machine thing, and they had like the ropes. You do the ropes. Weightlifting equipment is expensive. Yeah, maybe I can find something like on Craigslist or something. Like I got the weight bench, and so that might be something. Don't work out too much. You look. Well, it's not about the looks. I just want to get some of my strength back. I want to be able to, because I miss that. I miss having my leg strength, and well, I never had arm strength. I got like Stephen Hawking upper body strength. So, be nice to be able to do that. I'll get there. I just want to be a little bit stronger. But I'm like, why did I fight this? Why did I fight this? I should have done this. I know I would have feel better after it. But I'm like, I want to read. I want to watch YouTube videos. I don't want to go to do this. Oh, the spaghetti, God, yeah, spaghetti, that's like instant coma. It's like, just eat some spaghetti and go to sleep. Two things that aren't great. Alright, later, Schultzy. Yeah, speaking of which, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning again, and I'm hungry again. I don't know, I guess I'll just wait till tomorrow. I might just make some eggs or something tomorrow, because it's kind of late. I don't want to eat this late. But hopefully I'll, I'm not, actually, no, because it'll mess my, every time I try to do something on the computer, it shorts my internet out. But, yeah, I'm going to look on Craigslist or something. Because, you know, people buy exercise equipment all the time. My mom was really bad about this growing up. She would buy this stuff, and you know what it turned into? Clothes rack. Like, she'd get a treadmill. I mean, like all this, you know, just weird ass exercise equipment. And fucking just never used it. Just never used it. But people do that shit all the time, especially like at the beginning of the year. People buy all this shit, they never use it. And then a few months later, they'll just sell it. So I might be able to find something that way. Or, I don't know. If not, I mean, there's other ways of doing it. But I know me, and I'm not, I hate going out, you know, for shit like that. So if it's here, I'd use it more often. Then I don't have an excuse, you know? Like, I don't have the excuse of like, oh, it's the gym, I want to go to the gym, I don't want to go out, it's snowing, it's this, you know? It's like, really? Because it's right there, you know? I won't have that excuse. Because I'll find any damn excuse to not go down the road. Get yourself a squat rack, 2-inch barbell. Let me take a screenshot of that, because I know you know this stuff. Your arms you're fucking jacked with your arms. Like that's how I want to know. But you know, it's gonna be different because you know I'm a woman and all that. I'm not gonna. Dude, your arms are fucking ripped. So it's like whatever you're doing. That's I think I should probably do whatever you're doing. Whatever. Yeah, you're skinny, but you got muscle. You got muscle. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, with all your triangles and rear naked chokeholds, it's good for the muscles. Shit. Yeah. I don't know. Jimmy tried to teach me shit like that, but I'm like, buddy, look, you're just at a natural advantage. I mean, I don't know why Polynesians have, like, they're just, like, broad. Like, got the broad shoulders and shit. Like, he's always, like, had, you know, been super muscly and shit. I mean, not that you didn't have to work hard at it, too, but, you know, the more you work at it, the easier it is and all that shit. But, you know, for somebody that's like, I've never used these muscles before. It's like, yeah, maybe not the best person to get advice from, considering. It's like, I don't even know if he had to think about it. Just something that just was. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I use Discord. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because, I mean, well, there's also this one guy. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you about this. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you about this one, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But there was this one of my friends, and my mom and his mom were best friends in high school and stuff. So when we were little, we would hang out all the time. He would braid my hair. I mean, but he was like a little beanpole, just a little tiny scrawny thing. You know, both in the Ninja Turtles. I mean, we were total nerds. Okay. And then he moved out to, like, Boone County, changed schools, like, once we got into middle school. I don't know what that's called, but just the local, like, WWE kind of wrestling. And, buddy, he's a personal trainer now. This dude is fucking jacked, man. I'm like, what happened? It was like little tiny Kevin. I mean, he was probably about as big as my pinky finger. And then all of a sudden, that, like, I'm like, you're gonna have to show me how you did that. You're gonna have to show me. But he went up there and it was he would help mom out, so she'd pay him, and he'd go up there and like paint for her, and you know, just do like random shit. So I don't know. Maybe he could help me out too. Yeah, consistency, because it's one of those things. It's like when even if you do lose it, it's easier to get back in that shape once you've reached that level of shape. So even if you let it go, it's like, okay, well, you can get back to it pretty quickly. But like I said, I got muscles I probably ain't never used. So, I mean, I'm not even over exaggerating. I probably need physical therapy at this point. As much as I've not used certain things, or, you know, done things, you know, weird standing and scoliosis. So it's like I lean this way, so that's why all my weight goes over to this leg. It's like that don't make sense. I mean, I'm right-handed and my right leg is weak as fuck. So it's just shit that we're work on. But it's all new, and it's just, that's why I'm rambling on about it, because it's like, this is all stuff I've never done before. I've never, you know, it either came naturally, like, okay, well, you know, just by working or walking around or doing stuff like that, that I was able to, you know, have a certain amount of strength, or ability. But it wasn't like something like targeted, like, oh, I went to the gym and I know how to do all this stuff. Yeah, 3 to 6, so give it about 3 to 6 months, 2 to 3 workouts a week, you'll see a visual improvement. Yeah, I just missed my strength, because I mean, like, I went to bend down, and I was like, I started doing the old people thing. You know, the old people thing where when they go, like, oh, like, you make noises when you bend. You start making, oh, okay. You are holding on, like, okay, I'm going, I dropped something, let me go get it. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I used to do like 300 squats like it was nothing. Like, now I can't bend down? What the fuck? I gotta get my life in order. Yeah, boomer problems. Yeah, I got boomer body, dude. It's like wasted away. And I'm too young for that shit. At 35, I mean, that ain't young, but, you know, I ain't old. I'm like in that middle ground. And I'll age a lot faster if I don't take care of this fucking flesh prison I'm stuck in. But, yeah, it's a process. And it's just weird. And I've never articulated that with people before. It's like, they just make it seem easy. Like, even when I'm, like, watching videos on, like, YouTube or something, like, try to learn stuff, it's like, yeah, we're going to have to go, like, really basic. Like, we're going to go to toddler level. Teach me how to stand and walk. Because this, I don't even realize, like, even now, I'm still doing it. Fuck. Knees locked, completely backwards, fucking leaning over. So you gotta be just, I don't know, I guess if once I train my body to do it, it'll be easier to do, so. Ugh. This is hard. Yeah, I don't know, I've always felt old. I've always had, like, old people energy. Posture is, oh my God. Posture, my God. I don't even realize it, because I'm sitting there and I would be on the computer, I'd be reading stuff or researching for something, and I'm sitting there and I'm like completely, especially like when I'm stressed, the least stressed I am, see, like right now, not stressed, okay? I can have good posture. But the more stressed I get, I will literally just hunch into a little ball. I will curl in on myself. The more stressed out I get, the more I just wad up in this, and everything gets so tense. And so it's like, you gotta get rid of that stress. You gotta be aware. It's just a lot, especially when you're new to your body. I really do. It feels like I've just been dropped into some. It's like when my posture's good, things change. Like, I can see the physical difference. Like I don't have the gut. I mean, my back feels better. I mean, things just like line up more properly, but it's hard to do that when my spine's a little, you know, a little crooked. So it's like I'm trying to overcorrect. So I'll hold my shoulder up a lot of times so people don't notice you know. So I'll just like try to hold my shoulders weird so that way I don't look lopsided. Shit. But that's one of those things that kind of comes back to bring it full circle. That's one of those things that happens here because of the chemicals in the water, is you'll see a lot of malformed, you know, just people are a little crooked, little scoliosis, you know, little like my brother, he was born without eyelid muscles. What the fuck? He couldn't see his eyelids. He couldn't open his eyes. He'd lean back like this because he didn't have the muscles. So that messed his posture up. It took him forever to learn how to sit up and walk because he couldn't, where he was leaning back, it was throwing him off. Just little things like that you wouldn't even think about. It's like, oh, well, that's just eyelids. You wouldn't think like, oh, well, that's going to mess up like developmentally, walking, sitting up. It's going to, I don't know. So it's just like shit like that. Yeah. And he had to have several surgeries. Like one when he was a baby, he had to have some like every so often, but he's due for another one. So he's got to get that done, but they think that that's going to be the last one. They got a way that's going to be more like permanent, so he doesn't have to keep going in and having his eyelids fixed. I mean, but that's one of the side effects when you put when chemical companies and coal mines put poison in your water and your air and your soil and all that. Autism, scoliosis, cleft lips, shit like that. But he's doing better. I mean, he's doing a lot better. Like I said, just being aware of shit like that, and just not trusting the school system to teach him stuff, or trusting doctors to, because by doing that we weren't taking control of it. We're just like, they know what's best. And he was like in high school and could not read or do math. So I'm like, oh my God, yeah. But we took control of that, and now he's doing math. He's reading. He's totally caught up, and he's doing so much better. He's got a pen pal. He's got friends. He does little outings and stuff. So he still gets the socialization and all that, but it's just one of those things you gotta be aware of. And once you know that it's a problem, kind of like with this shit show here, like once you know that it needs, that the work needs to be done, then you can address it. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And plus, I could probably get Paul to do it with me too. That's my brother, so I could probably get Paul, and that would make it so much more fun, because he gets stuck in the house a lot. So I could have him exercise with me. We could go for walks and take turns using the weights and shit like that. I think that'd be good for him, and it'd keep me motivated, because like when I'm doing this with other people, it makes it more fun and it makes it more consistent. Like, I'll keep up with it that way. If it's just me, I'm not gonna. I could barely feed myself. Like I forget to drink water. I have to stop and drink water. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't drank water in like 10 hours. I should probably drink something. Like I'll forget. But if we do it together, we'll do it more often. Plus, it'd be good to hang out with some people. Have some socialization kind of thing. Overall it'll be good. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. But I appreciate all the exercise tips and stuff. I got screenshots of it, so I remember what to do. Because I know we talked about this once before, probably more than that. But if I don't, because I think we talked about it in Discord, so I didn't have it like all. Probably lost the notes if I did write it down. But I've got the screenshot on my phone, so that way, I won't forget this stuff. Because I'm physical body, ew, gross. I don't want to do it. I don't like being present in it, but. If I want this to be at its best, I gotta do that shit too, so, fuck. Why can't it just be easy like that? But, whatever. We'll get there. Let me know if you have to start up. I'll send you some good programs. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm probably gonna like call you on Discord and just be like, Josh, is this right? I don't know. Is this how human beings lift things? I'm probably gonna be messaging all the time, like, please help. Please help. Is this right? Because I don't know how the fuck to do this stuff. Okay, all right, good. You'll be my personal trainer. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this down. Thanks for hanging out with me, and anybody else that's still here. I really appreciate it. Listen to all the personal West Virginia stuff, because I know that's not an easy thing to hear about. So I appreciate it, and I will see y'all next time.